Hello and welcome to IP Study video lectures. Today we are going to discuss chapter number 22 of grade 7 social science. The chapter name is Markets Around Us. Before we dive into different types of markets and who are the different players involved in a market, let us understand in simple terms what a market is. So market is a place where buyers and sellers meet. And when I say a place, I do not necessarily mean a physical place. Because in the recent times we have seen that with the help of internet, there are various websites who sell their goods online, right? And as buyers, we buy the products from the sellers who list these products on these websites. So even those e-commerce sites are type of a market. We are going to focus on traditional types of markets like the neighborhood markets, weekly markets, shopping malls and so on. This act of buying and selling that is common in all these marketplaces is known as trade. So we can simplify our definition even more and say that market is a place where trade happens, right? Now let's discuss in detail about the different types of markets. First of all, we will discuss about the weekly markets. Now what are weekly markets? These are the markets that take place on one day in a week, right? So it could be a Monday market, Tuesday market, Wednesday market, and in these marketplaces, different vendors, they come and they sell their products. Normally these products are of everyday needs, fruits, vegetables, clothes, utensils. So all these kinds of products are available in the weekly markets. Normally they are non-branded products and that is why they are not very costly, right? Apart from these, we also have neighborhood markets. These marketplaces are permanent in nature as compared to the weekly markets, right? So these markets help us to meet our everyday needs. So if your toothpaste or your soap is finished, you will not wait for a weekly market to buy that product, and you will not even go to a supermarket or a mall to get the product instantly. You will go to a nearby shop, maybe a shop which is at a walking distance, to buy that product, right? So neighborhood markets are very useful in that sense. Lastly, we have supermarkets and malls. These are normally air conditioned. Supermarkets have a large variety of products and they sell almost everything, right? Of daily need or maybe even luxury brands, your clothes, shoes, everything they sell. And they are air conditioned and they may be branded or non-branded, right? Normally because there is a large variety of goods, the prices of these products are comparatively higher than what is available in the neighborhood shops and the weekly markets, right? And malls, as we know, they are built in 2 or 3 floors and every floor has different kind of outlets where you can buy products. There are food outlets as well. So there is a large variety of goods which are available in a mall. So the buying experience, because there is air conditioner, they have good facilities for the person to walk, they are very clean, so the customer experience is better, and because of that the prices of goods in supermarkets and malls is relatively higher than what is available in other two forms of markets. Now let's move to our next topic, channels of distribution. By channels of distribution we mean how a product travels from the producer or the manufacturer to the end consumer. So first of all, we have a direct channel in which we see that the producer is directly selling the product to the consumer, right? There is no middleman involved in such a transaction. How does this happen? First of all, you have door-to-door services where small goods like it could be a socks, it could be some toys, maybe some eatables. So these salespersons are employed by the company where they go from one house to another to sell these products. Normally you will see these products are easy to carry, they are lightweight products because the person has to carry it in a bag. So it could not be very bulky kind of goods. But if you have large goods, say automobiles, then this kind of sales will not happen. For that, you have the option of retail showrooms. So if you see car manufacturers, if you look at manufacturers of motorbikes and scooters, they normally operate a retail showroom, or even shoe companies like Bata, they also have these kind of showrooms where you can buy the product from the manufacturer itself. So the manufacturer is employing either salesperson or opening showrooms where the product is sold directly to the end consumer. Then let's discuss about the indirect channels. In indirect channels, the producer is not selling the product directly to the consumer, but it has middleman involved in this transaction. So here there is a producer who is selling the product to the wholesaler. The wholesaler is selling the product to the retailer, and the retailer is finally selling the product to the consumer, right? So these wholesaler and retailer are known as middlemen. From the producer to the wholesaler, from the wholesaler to the retailer, and from retailer to the end consumer. Now the question comes, in this scenario, you will imagine that the product price goes up because wholesalers and retailers' profit is also involved, right? But wholesaler and retailer are there for a purpose. What purpose they solve? We will discuss now. So what exactly is a wholesaler? So normally a wholesaler is a big businessman who buys products in bulk from the producer and then sells in small quantities to the retailer, right? So wholesaler buys the product in bulk and sells in a small quantity to the retailer. Now think about it, how it is beneficial. See, the producer has manufactured the goods. The producer wants that the product should be sold as soon as possible because the producer has invested even in the raw materials, if you think about it, right? So the producer wants the product to be sold as soon as possible. Especially think about perishable goods. Perishable goods means which get spoiled very quickly. So food items especially. So the producer does not want to take the risk for the food to get spoiled before it is sold in the market. So the producer prefers that wholesaler buys the goods in large bulk so that his or her headache of storing the goods is solved, right? The wholesaler is a large businessman. He or she will also have storage facilities, right? So that is the benefit the wholesaler is giving to the producer. Now, the retailer does not want to buy products in large quantity from the wholesaler. Why? Because the retailer sells only 1 or 2 units of a product to the end consumer. End consumer only wants maybe one pair of shoes. So retailer will not have hundreds of shoes of the same size and same brand, you can say same type in his shop. What the retailer will have, he will go to maybe 10 wholesalers and buy maybe 6 units of each kind of product, right? So this is how the retailer will operate. So that is how wholesaler is beneficial to the retailer, that he is selling only the small quantities to the retailer. Another point where the wholesaler is important in this distribution chain is that the wholesaler provides an advance to the producer, right? So advance money is given by the wholesaler to the producer to manufacture the goods, and the wholesaler will provide credit facility to the retailer. So credit facility means that he gives the products to the retailer and says that you can give it back to me, give me back the money when you are able to sell the products, right? So this is again a very important purpose that the wholesaler solves, a very important purpose that the wholesaler provides in the distribution chain, right? Last important task that the wholesaler performs is that he or she gives feedback to the producer about the product quality, right? So the retailer, because the retailer deals directly with the consumer, retailer has some feedback from the customer. So that feedback the retailer gives to the wholesaler, and the wholesaler gives it back to the producer, right? So in this way, if the product has some problems, some issues, the consumer is conveying to the retailer, and the retailer is conveying it to the wholesaler, wholesaler is giving it that feedback to the producer, right? So this is how the wholesaler is important in this link. Next comes the retailer. So as we discussed, retailer is dealing directly with the consumer. So first problem that the retailer is solving is he is giving a good amount of choice to the consumer, because retailer, as we discussed, he or she would be buying products maybe from 10 or 20 wholesalers. So there is a large variety that is actually available in front of the end consumer, that he can buy maybe this kind of shoes, that kind of shoes, and so on. And also the retailer, because that person is dealing directly with the consumer, so he gives them after sale services also. So if the product is damaged, the retailer says, okay, bring it back to me, I will repair it, or I will exchange the product with the wholesaler. Also the retailer is giving them discounts, maybe credit facility. So all these things the retailers are doing because they want to hold the customer. They want the customer to come back to them again and again, right? So these are the things that retailers do. Now let's discuss about the different types of trade. So trade, we discussed, is the exchange of goods, buying and selling. How does this happen? First, we have wholesale traders. We already discussed about the job that the wholesalers perform in a distribution chain. These wholesale traders we will not see around us so much, because we mostly deal in the retail markets. We buy products from the retail market, but the wholesale market is different. In a wholesale market, the retailer is coming to buy the products in small quantities, right? So that is a wholesale market. Then let's discuss about the retailers. These are the people who we directly see in the market, right? Whether we visit a mall, whether we visit a supermarket or a neighborhood shop or a weekly market, we come across different kind of retailers, right? So what are the main two categories of retailers? First of all, we have itinerant retailers, and then we have fixed shop retailers. So fixed shop retailers, it is very easy to understand by the name itself. These are the people who have fixed shops, whether small or large shops does not matter, but they are available maybe 6 days a week, 7 days a week. Their shop is there, you can visit it, right? But itinerant retailers are those who move from one place to another in search of a buyer, right? So these are the people who maybe are having a stall, or maybe they put their stall in a weekly market. So basically they are not there at all times, right? So normally if you see itinerant retailers, they sell goods which are small sized, because they should be easy to carry. You cannot have a large number of goods on a stall. But compared to that, talking about fixed shop retailers, they sell a larger variety of goods as compared to itinerant retailers. Moving to the next topic of our discussion, and that is about factors affecting people's access to markets. So this question, which market you are going to choose, depends on many factors, right? What are these factors? Let's discuss in detail. First of all, you want the market to be accessible to you. You want that the product should be available there at all times. You don't want to go to a shop or any type of market where the product is not available at the time you need it, right? So in terms of accessibility, where we talk about demand and supply, so if there is demand for maybe 100 people coming to buy a soap every day, then that shop or that market should be able to meet the need of those 100 customers, 100 soaps in that particular day, right? So that is important. The other topic comes about the vicinity, the proximity. Basically, you want the marketplace should be close to your house. You don't want to travel a large distance. So maybe there is a very nice market at a place which is maybe 200 kilometers away from my house. Now I cannot travel 200 kilometers just because it is a good market. I want the marketplace to be near to my house so that I can travel there easily. The customer also wants different facilities from the seller. One of those facilities is availability of credit, right? It means that you don't want to pay the seller at that point of time. You want to pay maybe at the end of the month, maybe next month, right? So many grocery sellers, dairy product sellers provide this facility that maybe, okay, I will give you milk for the entire month and you can pay me on the first of every month, 30 days later from the time you're buying the product. So these kind of facilities are important for people. So while making the choice of market, you will also see whether credit facility is available or not. Then consumer satisfaction, very important point, and it's something that may differ from person to person. So maybe I want to go to a marketplace where I find that the buyers are very nice to me, or maybe I want a good buying experience, so I like to go to air conditioned places only, or maybe I'm very concerned about my hygiene, so I will go to a marketplace which is well kept. There is no garbage around and all that. So it could be different things for different people. For your better experience, you will have different conditions, and if they meet, if the marketplace is able to meet those conditions, you will say that you are satisfied. And the last point is about the price point. See, price is very important. You want that the price should be competitive. It means that you may pay extra amount for a product, but only if you feel that the product is worth it. If the product is branded, if the product is of a better quality, you will be okay by paying more money. But if two kinds of shirts are available in two different kinds of market, and in one market it is of more price, in another market it is of a lower price, obviously you will prefer the market which sells it cheaper, right? So price is important in that regard. Now let's move to the last topic of this chapter, and that is about market and equality. So we understood that different people are involved in the distribution channel. Some of them are very small businessmen, some are large businessmen, and that is why, because of the size of investment they have. Investment means the money you are spending in setting up a business. So the result of your efforts is different based on your investment at many times. It simply means that if there is a large businessman, that person is able to buy products in bulk, and because that person is buying goods at bulk, he is able to buy the product at a lower price, right? And that is why he is able to provide maybe discounts to the customers. So he is able to get a larger market share because of it, and because of that his profit is also more. Compared to that, think about a small businessman, maybe a itinerant retailer. For that person, buying goods in bulk is not possible. Maybe he does not have that kind of money or space to keep the products. So for that person, it is difficult to have a larger market share. So we see that marketplace is not very equal in that nature. People who have the higher investments, who already have the resources, they find it easier to sell their products in the market, right? But yes, if you have innovation, if you have better planning, then yes, even small businessmen can become big. So this question of equality is really important to understand, and we want Ideally, we want that everyone who enters a market should have equal chance in succeeding. Everyone can become rich or earn large profits by dealing in the market. But sometimes it is not possible, right? So with that, we end this particular chapter. I hope you understood the simple concepts which we discussed in the chapter, and we will meet again in our next video lecture. Thank you so much.